Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to the Den of DBZALLSTAR. I'm DBZALLSTAR, or Steve if you prefer, and I have in front of me a long-awaited book to open, and it's long-awaited because I've delayed long enough opening this, and I just finally found the time. What does it have to do with my shirt? What does it have to do with these stellar Sonic the Hedgehog Archie Comics collected editions? That's Sonic Select, Book 1, Book 2, by the way. Well, let's open it and find out. And I'll talk a little bit about it, talk about what caused me to add this to my collection, why it's probably going to be an important part of my collection. Well, there's no probably about it. It will be. Let me respectfully get this open, and I'll go into it. So we have this priority mail thicker envelope from the United States Postal Service, America, and inside we have, set that off to the side, thicker piece of board here, set that off to the side, another piece of board to protect the book inside, which is in a Mylar-esque bag, protecting a hardcover book, which is itself wrapped, and oh wow, there's something wonderful inside here. So we have, before I get into what this is, as this will reveal, we have thank you for your support. You can follow the Lara Sue Chronicles with the help of with the release of Ken's new app coming later this year. For further updates, go to the website Penders.com, and it says to Steven, Best Ken Penders 2025, with a picture of Lara Sue and the Lara Sue Chronicles, copyright and trademark Ken Penders. That is beautiful. Thank you so much, Mr. Penders. Put my tools away. Might need the blade. And what we have here is the Lara Sue Chronicles Volume 1. This is a hardcover edition exclusive to kenpenders.com that you can purchase through his many pieces of merchandise, including Sonic the Hedgehog merchandise. There's the side, the Lara Sue Chronicles, Ken Penders. There is the back there. And on the front, we have some of the principal players on the back. Again, principal players. And I'll just read the back real quick. It was 20 years ago. Writer-illustrator Ken Penders pitched the story Mobius 25 years later, featuring the characters he had created for the long-running Sonic the Hedgehog and Knuckles the Echidna comic series published by Archie Comics, only it would be set in the future of the present-day storylines. Some characters would be married with families of their own. Others walked different paths. The fate of a world would be determined. The story would be told in chapters published in successive issues of the Sonic the Hedgehog series, my apologies, with the eventual outcome being the chapters collected as one complete graphic novel. After 14 chapters, the editors at Archie had other plans and asked Ken to conclude the last chapter on a note the story would be revisited at some point at a later date. Archie Comics and Ken Penders would soon come to a parting of the ways, with the story left unfinished. Now, after Ken spent years reclaiming the copyrights to his work, the story continues. Collected here for the first time ever are all 14 original chapters of the original Mobius 25 years later, with a new last page of the 14th chapter that leads into the all-new material, setting the stage for old and new readers alike to discover and enjoy a new world of adventure on the same level. The Lara Sue Chronicles starts here. This is produced by Floating Island Productions, which is what what the envelope said as well. It was from Floating Island Production, Mr. Penders' company, in Los Angeles, California, USA, with a retail price of $35.99. Now, one thing comic aficionados may notice is that compared to your normal omnibus edition, which will collect typically most of, if not a full storyline, this is thin. The reasoning behind that is due to the fact that this is collecting the original story, and this is not your standard omnibus. When you are paying above what you expect for an independent story, it's because the royalties, the payment from that independent work, will go directly to the creators, rather than the royalties coming from the publisher and sometimes being paid piecemeal to those creators, and sometimes no royalties at all. So Penders is making sure that he is investing in himself. We're going to now gently use the blade here to hopefully get this wonderful book open. So as I'm getting this book open, why is this an important piece of my collection? Well, because the first comic book that I purchased so many years ago, 33 years ago as a matter of fact, at a Walden bookstore, yes, I can tell you exactly where I purchased it, was Sonic the Hedgehog issue 0 of the original Archie Comics miniseries, which lasted from issue 0 to 3 and then relaunched as a full ongoing series. This takes place quite further into the ongoing series, well past issue 100 of the ongoing series, and this was Archie Comics' way of having Ken tell his own stories without, by their definition, interfering with the ongoing story set in present day, at least back then, with the Sonic the Hedgehog comic book series. So, as the book mentions, it collects the original 14 chapters. There are the end sheets there. There's a dedication. It says, "For Bernadette, the love of my life, who was by my side throughout the entire adventure, and without whom this would not be possible." That is lovely and very heartfelt. We have the title page here. I'm trying to hold back my excitement because Sonic the Hedgehog was the very first comic book I purchased, and from 1992 until the summer of 1995, that was all I would collect, would be the Archie Sonic the Hedgehog comics, be it the principal title, the Princess Sally miniseries, the one-shot specials, such as Sonic in Your Face, the Knuckles miniseries, which eventually spun off to be the ongoing series, and more. And this work, which includes a foreword from Mr. Penders, collects so much of what made my childhood reading comics so great. I'm not going to show off too much because it's well worth the pickup if you're a Sonic the Hedgehog fan. It's well worth it if you're a fan of the Archie Sonic the Hedgehog comics, the Saturday morning Sonic the Hedgehog that featured the Freedom Fighters. So much makes it worth it, and I can't wait to delve in and read this book. Also, as part of the Floating Island Productions, we have, and here is some of the original story artwork. By original story artwork, I mean the editions that were not published through Archie Comics. I won't spoil myself here, but we also have some info, some backstory about Laura Sue there, So there are some extras here. And I could delve into the history of why Mr. Penders, there's some special thanks back here as well for anyone who contributed to this book, as well as an afterword / acknowledgement. And perhaps some setup for the next volume, because this, Laura and the other end sheet, this is meant to continue. However, the second production from Floating Island Productions has already been put up for order and released. That is the Knuckles Omnibus Volume 1. The third piece, the Scott Shaw's Sonic Days book, is up for order, and that will collect some of my starting comics in that book, whereas the Knuckles Omnibus kicks off Knuckles' most important stories leading into and including some of the ongoing series from Archie Comics. But those books, as with this one, all the money goes toward production and toward making sure those involved in these projects are properly compensated. Because it's a process. If you want to have a better understanding, feel free to read Mr. Penders' blog. I know, just addressing the elephant in the room, that he can be seen as a controversial figure, but I have spoken with him on social media several times, probably for the past 5 or 6 years at this point, and my opening comment was about how I would love to see his canon return through the IDW series. Obviously, that can't happen without a lot of work and a lot of, we'll say, reuniting. But one thing you have to understand is that no matter how you feel, one of the facts is that Archie Comics started the entire controversy. And Ken, throughout his entire career with Sonic, has just wanted to support himself, support his family, and nothing speaks more to that than the fact that his children were actively featured in the Sonic Live special. So I think that's something we can all get behind, wanting to have a livelihood, wanting to support and love our family. And if you want to know more about that, there's a video on YouTube. There's multiple videos, I'm sure, but there's one by a gentleman who has often offered up documentary-style stories of comic book history that Mr. Penders actively provided a little bit of correction for. But I'm not here to talk about the controversy. I can't get through a video without addressing that I understand, but that's not the feeling I have as a fan of this work. This was a significant part of my childhood, and I want to say up until issue 263 or 267, I was continuously purchasing Sonic the Hedgehog, so through several creative changes until it got to the point where I didn't recognize it as it was before. And as evidenced by the shirt, as evidenced by my recent streams on my YouTube channel through my PlayStation 5 with the Sonic Origins Plus collection, I love Sonic, and I am grateful that Mr. Penders and his friends, professionals, his team, they're putting together these collections. If you are a Sonic fan, if you are a fan of the Archie Sonic comics, if you want to check out a potential future, by all means, there's more in stock on Penders.com for the Larsu Chronicles. This is Volume 1, Beginnings. Feel free to make comments below this video. Feel free to share some of your favorite comic memories, your favorite Sonic memories as well. What are some of your favorite Sonic the Hedgehog stories? What are some of your favorite stories penned by Mr. Penders? In the meantime, stay healthy, stay safe. If you want a more in-depth overview, by the way, please let me know. Stay way past cool, dude. And be well.